You get eyes on you like for driving like a Urus, to be honest, but it's definitely not worth it.
What's the balance on this thing?
On my new car?
Yeah.
$64,000.
Right now, it's just the RST that's available, and that starts at over $94,000.
So today we're going to be doing a deep dive on cars. We got a lot of topics to go over. We're going to be talking about car payments, the price of cars, the car market in general, same thing with EVs. It seems to me a lot of people enjoy the car videos that I put up, so we got a lot of videos to go over, and some of your comments on my previous video as well. So if you want to be featured in the next video, leave your comments below, along with any other topics you want me to talk about in future videos. Again, leave that in the comments. But we're going to start off with the classic ridiculous car payments.
What's your car payment?
$744.
Hey Chuck, what's your car payment?
$726.
What's your car payment?
$600 a month.
How much is your car payment?
Like $1,000.
Jose, what's your car payment?
Like $935.
How much is your car payment?
$700.
How much is your car payment?
$700.
How much is your car payment? $400. How much is your car payment?
$415.
What's your car payment?
Well, I got an electric Blazer for $469 a month.
How much is your car payment?
$1,080.
How much is your car payment?
And it's $593 a month.
So the more I've seen these videos being posted, the more people I've seen are kind of looking through the matrix now. They're understanding why these are being made, because if you look at almost all of these videos posted on TikTok, these are all car dealerships making these videos. This is Champion Chevrolet, wherever that is in the country. But I'm pretty sure every one of the clips that I've shown in my previous videos have also been from dealerships. And then you start looking in the comments and people are finally starting to realize what's going on, because this is a recent video, by the way. This is not like a video uploaded 2 years ago and I'm just using it now. This video was uploaded a month ago. The top comment is, are they trying to normalize these types of monthly car payments? And I think that's exactly what they're doing. With high interest rates right now and high prices on new cars in general, gone are the days that you could have a car payment of like $300, $350 that isn't a lease on an already pretty cheap car. Everything is like $500 plus now. So when all of these car dealership people that are supposed to be the smart ones and getting the best deals on cars, because I mean, they work in the car market, and you know, oh, if all of these people that are normal everyday people are paying $700 a month, maybe I can too. And that's kind of the psychological thing that they're doing now. But then the rest of the comments are just not buying it. Anything over $500 is crazy. $1,000 a month is so crazy to me. I would never pay over $300 a month for a damn car. I mean, I'm also in that same boat. And we have one more of these videos that adds another layer to the car dealership type of videos with the car payments. I thought was pretty interesting.
What car do you drive and how much do you pay a month?
So I drive a Mercedes, GLA 250, and I pay $715 a month.
Okay. What do you drive and how much do you pay a month?
I drive a Ford Fusion and I pay $500 a month.
Your monthly payment?
2017 Mercedes-Benz, I pay $525 a month.
Hey, Elion, what car do you drive and how much do you pay a month?
I drive a Volvo S60 and I pay $512 a month.
Listen, what car do you drive and how much do you pay a month?
I got a Toyota Camry, I pay about $550.
Okay.
What's up, Martina?
What car do you drive and how much do you pay a month?
So I drive the best car in the world, a 2018 Jeep Compass, and I pay $450 a month.
Okay.
Okay, real quick, we just got to go over. $700 a month for a GLA 250 is the same argument that I've had with the CLA 250. It's just such a little compact SUV, I guess, but they're so small that you should just get a car. I don't get the benefit of having that small of an SUV. And I've been in the back of a GLA 250 and I'm not a big person. I'm only 5'9", but I'm all scrunched up in the back seats. It's just not the car for me, and especially not for $700. The other woman paying $500 a month for a Ford Fusion, they don't even make them anymore, so it has to be used, right? But still, $500 a month for just a normal sedan, a Ford Fusion? That can't be a good deal. We have a guy paying $550 a month for a Camry now. I know that at least it's reliable, it's a Toyota, but still, that's $500 plus a month for a Camry. And then the guy who definitely knew it was a joke, but a 2018 Jeep Compass for $450 a month. All of these prices are just way too much for me. But then the top comment on this video hit the nail right on the head. So no Nissan. Because if you look at all their shirts, they're at a Nissan dealership. So So none of these people actually drive a Nissan, which definitely says something about the Nissan brand in general. I know they have been going down for quite a while, but when you have Nissan salesmen and just workers at the Nissan dealership and nobody drives one, wouldn't they get the best deal too, also working for the dealership, but still not worth it for any of the employees to actually drive a Nissan? So that's where that company's headed pretty soon. But again, all of these normal everyday people with really high car payments trying to make it seem like it's okay for you to go do it because these people at the dealership are. Then we have a comment from one of my car payment videos that is just exactly the problem that I did explain in that video. But I mean, we could just go over it right now. If you're a young kid, then live it up. Unless you're a Chad and you could get laid driving a beater, people forget what the main drive in young men's mind is. And if you take that away, then the world will crumble. Seems a little dramatic. Young men don't work to impress boomers with their frugal savings. I don't know what deep-rooted issue this guy has, but apparently in his mind, if you're not walking around at 6'4", 240 looking like an absolute god among men, you're not going to get laid at all unless you have some sort of nice car. That's the only way. So does that make me a Chad? Because the best car that I've had in my entire life is my current car, which is a 9-year-old base Honda Civic, and I have a girlfriend. So I guess in this guy's mind, everybody who watches this video that isn't driving around in a supercar and has a girlfriend at the same time, you're definitely doing really well for yourself, because apparently the only way you could get girls is if you have a nice car or you're just unbelievably attractive. I know I'm joking around with this comment, but this is a pretty deep-seated issue with a lot of younger guys, especially in the age of social media. You get a whole bunch of these 18-year-old multi-millionaires from either just being trust fund babies or just making a ton of money making TikToks or being YouTubers or whatever. And they have all these supercars, and then normal everyday people think that they also have to do that just to attract women, because that's what these guys on the internet do. And it's just not the case at all. And if you fall into this kind of trap where you think you could only get girls if you got a nice car, like, you better start making a massive amount of money, or you're just gonna start putting most of your income right into a car that just depreciates in value every single year. All for what? To possibly get laid? Which isn't even really true. If you pull up to an event or anything in a really nice car, most likely other men are going to ask you what you do for a living, you know, the specs on the car, stuff like that, more than women. And if a woman is interested in you just because of your car, she's definitely just going to be a gold digger. And if you miss any of your payments, you get repoed, or can't buy a nice new car when your current car starts to get ratty, she's just gonna move on to the next guy. It's just a lose-lose situation. In this clip, we have a guy who fell in that exact same situation. He bought a nice fancy car because other people told him to, and this is his experience.
It took me $18,000 to realize no car payment and a cheap car is the way to go. Here's what I'm driving currently, my beautiful 2003 Toyota Corolla with 165,000 miles. And this is the car that cost me about $18,000 over the course of 3 years. I don't know why it's tweaking like this, but it's a 2020 Kia Stinger. I paid $354 a month for 3 years. I was working in insurance as a 19-year-old, and they told me, hey man, you're gonna want a car that you can love to drive if you're gonna be driving long distance to your appointments, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they kind of sold me on the concept of wanting a cool car to pull up to my clients' houses with. And that was the last thing I needed as a 19-year-old, to have an excuse to get a fancy car because I was making a little bit more money than people who were my age. Having the fancy car was cool for about 6 months to a year, until I realized I'm paying so much money just to drive this thing, and it doesn't make my life any different. Yeah, girls might be like, dang, you got a nice car, but if you don't have game, you don't have game, whether you got a car or not. The homies loved it, but they also loved the simple cheap car. So it doesn't really matter if you got real homies, they don't care what you're whipping in.
And honestly, his story isn't even that bad. Now, of course, you got all the car guys, which we'll talk about later in the video, saying that he's driving a Kia. It's not a muscle car, it's not a sports car or whatever, even with it being the Kia Stinger. His monthly payment wasn't that bad. Like $350 a month is not nearly as bad as what we saw on any of those people at the car dealership, but that was still pretty expensive for him. So imagine all of these people paying $700 a month, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month for the same thing. And in a couple months, the new nice fancy car is not really as cool to you anymore, because that's just become your normal daily life. But you still have to pay 4 figures a month to use it. Here's another comment from one of my previous videos. Tons of dudes buying these ridiculously expensive trucks, because in that video we were talking about like $1,500 a month truck payments for like nice F-150s, Dodge Rams, stuff like that. But I see just as many moms driving around SUVs that cost more than the houses used to. And I know exactly what he's talking about. In my area, it is actually like the funny stereotype where you see a giant Escalade or a Yukon or a Tahoe, you know, Ford Expedition, you know what I'm talking about, like the giant trucks that are basically just small buses. Huge things on the road, and you see them parked somewhere to get out, and it is like a 5'1", like 90-pound woman who gets out of this absolute behemoth of a truck. And I'm not even like trying to argue that, oh yeah, like these big trucks are just supposed to be for like giant people. All of these like giant SUVs on top of it are at least like 70, 80, over $100,000 in some cases, just to be able to drop off like your 2 kids to like soccer practice in school and then head back. Seems like a little overkill for me, especially when you can't handle the car payments. Then you have some of those same people getting into the same situations that we're gonna show on this clip. Hopefully not as bad, because this one's just pretty ridiculous, but at least with like the interest rate and the price of the vehicles.
What is this car?
It's a 2021 Ford Mach-E GT. It's an electric SUV.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
It's actually my second one.
Dude, you're 20.
I had a fully paid off one before, but it just wasn't meeting what I needed to do, especially with the range and the amount of driving that I was doing. So I sold it, and I bought the current car that I have paid off, and then I bought another car.
What's the balance on this thing?
On my new car?
Yeah.
$64,000.
See, $64,000 of car debt, bringing in $3,000 a month. A third of that being from using your car to bring in more income. Does not sound like wise finances, but what is the interest rate?
12%.
See, that's why. What is your minimum monthly payment?
$12,045.
Not 12,000, but
$1,245. Yeah.
Dude, that's stupid. That's stupid. 12%. What is the term?
72 months.
Dude, it's basically as bad as it gets. Now people are going longer than that somehow, but that's basically as bad as it gets. 72 months.
So not only did this guy buy a Ford electric vehicle, the Mustang Mach-E. I mean, you could buy whatever car you like, but I think people who are super big on like EV know that a lot of these like manufacturers that have just got into the electric game just because of how much of a cash cow it was a couple years ago, know that these cars are even less reliable than say like a Tesla or something in the realm of those electric vehicles. But then you have all the Ford people who don't like the Mustang Mach-E because they basically just put the Mustang logo on a normal Ford electric SUV. So I don't know who would buy them, but this kid bought 2 of them. Because another one of the problems with EVs, at least right now, in my opinion, is the range. When they were cool in 2019 and 2020, a lot of the ranges weren't that great, and within like a year or 2, the ranges increased. So everybody who bought those EVs literally like a year or 2 before the new one came out are just screwed on like even less range. And I'm not saying that they're super great right now. I think most of them sit around the 300 to 350. So I mean, it's on par of a gas car, but you still have to sit there and charge the vehicle for a while comparing to just the gas stuff. We'll just get into that in a little bit later. But he bought one, paid it off, and then got the new one just to get a little bit more mileage and put himself another 60 grand in debt. 64K for an electric Mustang is wild. I make $4,000 a month and wouldn't spend more than 20K on a car. So many people actually live like this. And I made a whole dedicated video just to a lot of Caleb's guests that he had on the show, because some of the stuff that he goes over with people's finances is just absolutely insane. But we have another comment from one of my previous videos. I just don't get why people want these huge payments. No vehicle remains exciting past a few months. And I 100% understand that, and will probably feel the same way whenever I do buy that E63 that I've talked about in previous videos. I really want a W212 Mercedes E63. I've wanted one for years now, and with some of the car market finally going down, they are starting to get cheaper, so it makes me try to do the mental gymnastics that it's okay for me to spend like $35,000 on a car that you do kind of get the best of both worlds. It is a full-size sedan with like 570 horsepower, so You definitely do get the power with it, but before even like actually pulling the trigger and buying this car, I know that within like a few months of having it, it just won't be as cool anymore. I bet the first time putting the pedal to the floor, that amount of power, you know, I'd have the biggest smile on my face, but the 10th time you do it, the 100th time you do it, it's basically just diminishing returns, and then it turns into a very expensive car that kind of lost all of its like glitz and glamour. I don't know. And I mean, you have a couple of videos of people saying the exact same thing.
What should you be wary of when buying expensive cars? It's not worth it. I have the car I have is the GT3 RS, which by many people's opinions is like the pinnacle of analog sports cars. And I recently took a Hyundai Elantra Uber, and I barely noticed the difference. And that's a real fact. So if you're thinking about buying a G-Wagon, you should just make sure that it's like not even 5% of your net worth. Like I wouldn't. My recommendation is if you can summon the strength to rid yourself of mental illness, then just do that instead of buying a car, a dope car. Just get a Hyundai Elantra. You'll be richer. You'll have to explain less to your friends. Get a beater. Get a Hyundai Elantra. The other thing is they're more fun too. The Porsche, it's not even that, by supercar standards, it's not fast. It's like 400 horsepower, but you can't use any of it on public roads. It's just, you can't.
And that's for a vast majority of any sort of high-end performance cars nowadays, whether it be super brand new models or stuff that's made in the past 5 years, so they have a decent amount of depreciation, so you could get them for somewhat of a good deal. Most of these cars are so powerful that you couldn't use these on normal public roads at all without like immediately breaking the law. And a majority of these people who do have these cars that are wildly powerful, making massive car payments every month just to be able to drive it, will never have a track day in their life. So I mean, buying these cars and never actually using its full potential, while also just living paycheck to paycheck, is probably not the best move. And I've already said this before, but I'm not talking about anybody who's super rich and wants to buy a car and have a $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. I don't care. Have a $10,000 a month car payment. If you can afford it, then this video is not for you. I'm talking about the people who will spend a vast amount of their money on a car payment every single month and then complain that they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they can't put a down payment on a house, they have to rent forever. Food prices are getting out of control and they can't afford food. It's like, well, you probably don't need a $500 a month car payment then.
So I got a Lamborghini Urus a couple days ago, right? There's one thing I really noticed is that all cars are the same. All the flash you see here, bro, is all for show, to be honest. It's nothing the same as if I were to get like a Honda or something like that. It's crazy to say that because like growing up and seeing like different cars on the road and shit like that, like, yo, I want that car, maybe like their dream car or whatever. You finally get it. It doesn't feel the same anymore. You get to realize that every single car, no matter the price that you buy, all it's meant to do is take you to point A to point B. Like any car can do that. If you do drive an exotic car and you're watching this, you kind of know what I'm talking about as well. It's definitely a networking machine. Like you get eyes on you like for driving like a Urus, to be honest, but it's definitely not worth it.
But we are starting to get into the price range that's just so far out of reach for so many people, talking about the Lamborghinis, the Porsches. We could try to go back to normal trucks, but even that is starting to get absolutely ridiculous.
Over here at Dodge Ram Chrysler headquarters, we see trucks just keep piling up. We still have 23s, 4s, as well as 25s rolling in, and Jeeps aren't getting any less. The Grand Cherokees, which aren't necessarily an affordable vehicle anymore. Here's a Grand Cherokee Altitude 4x4 right here. By the time you throw a few features and options on here, you're at $67,000 for a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Here we have a 24 Jeep. Of course, this is a Compass, in fact, and we have the Compass North 4x4. Oh, all the sticky, I can feel all the little sticky from the birds and the saplings from the tree above, dropping all the snot on here, and the birds taking care of their business on here. The birds don't like this vehicle that much either. And neither would you with a Compass North 4x4, and its stickers at $47,000. There's no way this can possibly make sense. They've lost 17% on the sales of the Rubicons in Q2 here on the Wranglers. These are not selling. But why is that? Well, we have a Wrangler Rubicon X 4xe, and it's a 24 model year, as you see right here. $73,270 as base, and it's an 8-speed torque flight automatic transmission. And this sticker is at $85,155. And we have a Durango RT all-wheel drive. Base stickers at $71,920. Few features: you get the 5.7 Hemi. It's not the SRT, but hey, $75,810 means that this vehicle is not necessarily all that cheap. So let's take a look at this little unit. Here's a Grand Cherokee, and we're talking about a Grand Cherokee L Summit Reserve 4x4. And this one is a sticker or base price of 82 grand. Get a whole pile of great features on here. But how much is the price of this? $97,645. $100,000. 100 grand, folks. Out the door price, $110,000. Then throw luxury tax on that, because we're Canadians and we like to take it, and that's what's happening.
So you finally are starting to see all of these normal everyday dealership companies, Fords, Dodges, Chevys, all of that, starting to finally pile up on all these vehicles because people don't want to pay inflated prices with high interest rates on these cars. So now they're starting to just sit at lots. I mean, you saw all those prices. They were anywhere from like 60, 70, 80, 100,000. And I mean, this guy is Canadian, so it is cheaper in US because the US dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar. But that means if you live anywhere in the world where your currency is less valuable than the USD, then good luck trying to buy any of these cars or trucks, because it's going to be even worse for you when even people in America using USD can't afford them anymore. So like, how on earth are you going to do it on the other side of the world? Right here you have a chart of all of these different car companies showing how long these new vehicles sit on lots now. So I mean, you could see a lot of the Toyota, Lexus, Honda really flying off the shelf now, because if you're going to pay this much money for a brand new car, at least those are going to be the reliable ones. Anything in like mid-pack or below, I mean at the bottom, Chrysler, Lincoln, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, all of those type of car companies are just hemorrhaging money now, because you saw how expensive they were on the last clip, and they're not even reliable. So why would anybody want to get them? And I mean, you still have car companies right now that are already losing a massive amount of money on their gas vehicles, still releasing brand new electric vehicles in a market that's already on the downturn.
The Chevy Silverado EV is finally here, and you're not going to believe how much they're asking you to pay for a Chevy. On paper, the Silverado EV is really attractive. It has over 400 miles of range, it looks good, and it has a ton of features. But it has a fatal flaw, and that being the price. Right now, it's just the RST that's available, and that starts at over $94,000. But that's not the crazy part. That you can get over. But leasing deals just came out, and they are, to put it lightly, atrocious. According to a dealership website, the RST model of the Silverado EV is leasing for $1,450 a month with $5,600 down for 39 months. Do you know why that's so insane? Well, you can lease the more expensive Hummer EV from the same company for just $1,000 a month with no money down. And you can lease two Rivian R1Ts spec'd pretty nicely for less than one Silverado EV. And this is a better truck in my opinion. Apparently you can negotiate a little bit and get a 24-month lease, but that requires you to put $15,000 down, and that brings the monthly payment up to $2,000 a month. So unless you want to just burn money, do not lease a Silverado EV. At least not until better incentives come out.
So basically, after the craze of EV cars, SUVs, trucks have already died down, Chevy comes out with an unbelievably expensive lease for their Silverado EV. I'm guessing in Chevy's mind, they think that the truck is going to depreciate so quickly that they need to get unbelievable lease payments from anybody who actually wants to buy the truck, just so they can make a little bit of money. Because if you've looked at any of the stuff with the F-150 Lightning, they've had a ton of problems with it, because magically when car makers who have always made gas cars have to just compete with Tesla and make their trucks and their cars electric, they're not going to be that reliable. So the Lightning has taken a solid hit in the past few years. Nobody really buys them now. So my guess is that Chevy thinks the same thing's going to happen with the Silverado. So any suckers who could actually buy the truck right now, or not even buy, lease the truck, are going to pay a massive amount of money for the opportunity to have that truck. You got some comments right here. That's worth $45,000. Come on, Chevy. They promised a $35K base model and never delivered. I mean, it's $194,000. It's a $100,000 truck. No CarPlay or decent UI either. If they don't have CarPlay in that, I don't know. I hope that guy is wrong. No CarPlay on a truck that's like a 2024, 2025 is wild. These prices are becoming crazy. It won't sell. I mean, can't really say much more than that. But then we could get into the entirety of the EV market right now, and they're just, they're taking a beating.
Used EV prices are crashing as buyers shift back towards hybrid vehicles and some back to regular gas cars. Not only are used EV prices decreasing, but the overall demand for EVs is going down significantly as well. Recently, only 18% of consumers said that they were likely to buy an EV in the future, which is a multi-year low. And if you want to look at the prices of used cars, the EV is the graph in red, and the blue graph is the price of regular cars. They both went down. Then the price of regular gas cars went up a little bit, and EVs continued to plummet. According to this article, most customers are considering electric powertrains to be a detractor. They're also not the biggest fan of technological limitations of EVs, such as limited charging stations, limited repair, replacing the battery, stuff like that, have erased the premium buyers that used to be willing to pay for one of these vehicles. The average price of an electric vehicle fell 30% over the last year, which is insane. The average price of a combustion engine went down 6%, which gives you a lot of perspective on that. And as we mentioned before, only 18% of consumers indicate that they would like to purchase an EV, which is a multi-year low.
So I mean, you guys probably already saw that coming. 2020 EVs were the hot new thing and everybody was making a ton of money in the stock markets, real estate prices, whatever. And then they want to be the cool new person on the block with an EV. And then when they finally realize that, hey, maybe the range isn't that great, the reliability isn't that great, it starts falling like a rock. And now you could honestly get a lot of these cars for decently cheap price, but still, if you have to replace one of the batteries or whatever, good luck. But that's kind of where EVs are right now. But that's all I got for this video. YouTube thinks that you'll like this video that pops up on screen right now, so if you want to check that out. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.